The story of the settlers at Clandonald Colony is indeed one of faith, hope, hard work, and family. In search of a better life for their families, they dared to leave the only home they had ever known. It was from the picturesque highlands of Scotland that two families set out on a journey that would change their lives forever. The Morrisons from Lochboisdale, South Uist, and the Macaulays from Glasgow and South Uist had heard tales of a distant land called Canada, where dreams came true and fortunes were made. In 1923, the Morrisons bid tearful farewells to their homeland as they boarded the Marloch steamer. They endured a rough and turbulent journey across the Atlantic, but the sight of the vast Canadian shores brought excitement and anticipation. Arriving in New Brunswick, they embarked on a train journey to North Battleford, Saskatchewan. Morag Bennett's recollections reveal a journey that took them 2 weeks through dense fog and massive icebergs. The haunting sounds of blasting foghorns reverberated through her memories, a constant reminder of the perils they faced. During the voyage, Morag and her family were accommodated in staterooms, a stark contrast to their simple lives back in Scotland, where running water was a foreign concept. She was quick to admit they did not know what the bowl and the taps were indeed used for. The Macaulay family left Scotland on the same Marloch steamer in 1924. The family was led by Mary Macaulay, affectionately known as Wee Granny. Before they departed, panic ensued when they couldn't find Peter, who they were to pick up in South Uist. Thankfully, Peter showed up just in time, and their voyage began. A skirl of bagpipes from the ship's many pipers echoed throughout their journey. The first night out, the ship ran into a fierce Atlantic gale. The ship was rolling in the rough seas. The storm was so violent that the ship's engines had to be turned off, and the ship drifted with the storm. Neil Macaulay often recounted the harrowing journey, marked by rough seas that left most passengers afflicted with seasickness. Donald, who was to become a sailor, suffered the worst in their family. The persistent seasickness continued to haunt him later in his life, even during his shore leave. The Morrisons and the Macaulays were both part of emigration schemes promoted by Father MacDonald. And although the Scottish Immigrant Aid Society supported their journey, the society expected each family to bring enough funds to purchase land and equipment. However, upon arrival, it became evident that most families had little to no money and only a handful of possessions. Peggy Morrison's declaration that she had a mere 3 British pounds highlighted the stark reality they faced. As for the Macaulays, upon their arrival in Canada, they settled in Red Deer, Alberta, where they immersed themselves in their new world, facing the challenges of Canadian farming. Eager to learn and adapt, they embraced the art of harnessing horses and skillfully driving teams. The gang plows became their allies in breaking the stubborn soil, and they worked diligently to clear the brush and prepare the land for seeding. Their place of training and residence was Ardmora, where a former residential school, cottages, and farm buildings were situated. From 1924 to 1926, the settlers called it home, as they absorbed the knowledge and techniques necessary to thrive and work the foreign land. Yet the winter of 1924-25 proved to be a formidable adversary. An extreme cold descended upon the region, bringing hardships for the new settler families. The severity of the weather caught them off guard, and several families found themselves struggling to survive, and even needed to be provided with food and proper clothing. Among the challenges, Neil Macaulay recalled a hailstorm that struck Red Deer with an unusual fury. The hailstones were large as eggs, shattering windows and wreaking havoc on the surroundings. Once standing tall at 4 feet, rye fields were reduced to scattered pieces of straw, testifying to the power of nature and the need for resilience in the face of such weather. After spending 2 years in Red Deer, the Macaulays, accompanied by the Morrison family and other immigrants, moved on to the farms in the Clandonald Colony. Lured by the promise of cheap land, conveniently situated near the Canadian Pacific Railroad line for easy access to markets, the settlers of the Clandonald Colony eagerly embraced the challenge of building new lives as farmers in the northern Alberta prairie. In the spring of 1926, the families of the Clandonald Colony were moved onto their farms by the Scottish Immigrant Aid Society. The society had constructed 4-room stave-lock cottages and livestock barns for each family, aiming to provide them with the necessary housing and facilities to start their new lives as farmers in northern Alberta. However, it became evident that the housing provided was not as robust or comfortable as the settlers had hoped for or deserved. The cottages and barns lacked the durability and amenities required to withstand the harsh Canadian climate and the demanding life of farming in the region. The 100 families who established the Clandonald Colony did not own the land, but rented their farms from the Canadian Pacific Railroad Company. Their rent was based on a percentage of the annual crop yield, approximately 1/3 of their harvest. The Scottish Immigrant Aid Society had offered them an enticing agreement, an opportunity they simply couldn't resist. They were to receive a 4-room cottage and a stable barn for 4 horses and 6 cows, which would cost $750. Additionally, they were offered a $1,000 loan to purchase stock and equipment. At that time, the land itself was priced at $5 per acre. While some of the promised items were provided, disputes arose later as some promises were not fulfilled, leading to disagreements between the settlers and the society. In his 1952 report, Father MacDonald wrote, "There's no question about it, the colony is not a paying concern. It never will be so in a financial sense. The land was all raw land. The settlers had little experience in farming and no experience whatsoever in dealing with raw land, either in breaking, brushing, or clearing. They were all very poor and unable to provide for themselves with ordinary everyday needs. And they were provided with just a minimum of farm implements and not enough power. Their progress for the first few years was extremely limited." The families soon realized that the reality of farming in this challenging environment was far from what they envisioned. Facing extreme poverty and with the basic everyday needs being a struggle to fulfill, they found it difficult to clear the land for cultivation or even provide enough food for their families. And then the economic reality hit hard. The settlers had been told they would not be asked to make payments for 2 or 3 years. And then they were confronted with, firstly, the fact that their debt considerably increased by some years of interest compounded. And secondly, the price of 16 cents and 19 cents a bushel for their wheat crop. For many, it was just a death blow to their hopes. These economic challenges forced the Macaulay, Morrison, McGahey, and McPhee families to abandon farm life in the Clandonald Colony. The farms were unsustainable due to poor housing, outdated equipment, bad weather, low farm prices, and overwhelming debt for leases and taxes. Despite their hard work, a profitable farm operation seemed impossible. By the late 1930s, a combination of disillusionment driven by economic hardship and the opportunity for men to serve in World War II created a turning point. The war effort offered an alternative path for many men to leave the farms and find new roles in the military. Meanwhile, many Canadian cities emerged as beacons of opportunity, attracting those seeking new beginnings and a chance for a better life. With heavy hearts, the settlers bid farewell to their farms they had worked so hard to cultivate. They embarked on a new journey to multiple cities across Canada, leaving behind the Clandonald Colony and the dreams they had once nurtured there. Yet the resilience and the spirit of these families would not be dampened. They faced the future with determination, holding on to the cherished moments of their time in the Clandonald Colony and the legacy of hard work, faith, and family that would forever shape their lives and future generations.